Monisola Adeyemo. I'm reporting to you from the Truth Media. Today I'm in the home of a wonderful woman. She's a philanthropist, she's a business owner. She's the president of Lakewood Family Clinic. I am with the doctor, Mrs. Monisola Adeyemo.
Thank you, Tommy. That was interesting.
Thank you for just taking the opportunity, well, giving me the opportunity just to speak with you today and just learn about your success story. A lot of people who come from low-income communities, such as Nigeria, don't have the ability to come to America and start their lives over and then become an owner of a medical practice. Like, how did you do that?
First of all, Tommy, let me welcome you to my house. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to my house. As a woman growing up, I started as a very poor beginning. I mean, very, very poor beginning. For a woman like me to have lost a mother at the age of 2 with only one sister, and she was raised by a 76-year-old woman, life could not be harder than that. It was really tough. But with a successful husband behind me, I was able to navigate all those hard times, because at that time I was married before I came to the United States, and this is here I am today. I will tell you a little bit of my story as we progress in this interview.
I'd like to know more about the journey of, where you started from and then coming here to America. So, what was that like when your mother died at 2? Like, who raised you? How was life for you? How did you navigate through that with your sister?
Like I said before, it was really tough. Life at that time was nothing but survival. I was left with the community to take care of. I could have my grandmother at that time. She was 82, like I said. She could not afford anything. My father was so poor too, a farmer. He could not afford anything. I have a 4-year-old at that time sister who was also from the same background. Life was very difficult. We were left with the community to raise.
Your education like? What was your life like growing up?
Let me tell you this, Tommy. I know a couple of Nigerian children went through the same thing I went through. I went through the same channel. I started my elementary school with no shoe. We walked barefooted to school. But because I know where I was, not I know where I was going, but I knew I have to be somebody. So I started like that. I went to primary school. Spent more than 8 years. What would have cost somebody like 6 years in primary school? Because there was no mother, no father to guide me. So many of times I couldn't have anything to go to school. I would fail at the end of the day, but I never allowed that to put me behind. So I went through primary school in the village. I went through what they called modern school, because I couldn't get an admission to secondary school at the time because my father could not afford it. So I ended up in a modern school. Modern school is like intermediate class. If you can't get to secondary school, you go to modern school. It's like you are trying to go to college, you couldn't get to college, you go to PG Community College. You know what I mean? To prepare you for college. So I ended up in a modern school.
Okay.
I was in modern school. I spent 1 year in modern school. From there, I was able to get an admission to my secondary school of choice, which is St. Mary's Girls High School at Ikolekiti, where I finished my secondary school.
What was it like growing up in a village? Can you just explain that a little bit more? What was it like growing up in such a setting?
Tommy, I'm going to be very honest with you. It's very tough if you have ever been to the village before. This is in the 60s, when there was no transportation, there was nothing, no social activity. For a young girl growing up in that kind of setting, you can imagine what I went through as a woman who has no mother. Most of the time, when you have a mother fend for you. I know a woman itself, 76-year-old, cannot understand my emotion, cannot understand what I was going through. All she cared about is just to give me food, buy clothes, provide shelter. Other social thing is not a power. It was never a priority at the time. It was really tough.
So were you able to seek guidance about what to do with your life, your next steps?
Actually, I would say it's not by fault or by mistake or maybe opportunity was never there. Maybe I would say try and error, because I will see people like my age going to school, and I will be saying, oh, I just want to go to school like these people. But if you are very smart, let me tell you, if you know what you want and you have the knowledge, the understanding to put yourself, to apply yourself, you can do so much. As a young girl, no mother, like I said, growing with an old woman, the only opportunity I had at the time was the fact that I was very brilliant. And people see that in me. And they say, well, if she's brilliant, even if my father could not afford to send me to school, the community where I grew with, they were ready to accept me to go to college.
Wow. So it was your neighbors, community members, I guess they donated to your education. Like, how did you go about getting money for that?
It's like at that time I was never ashamed to ask for what I wanted. I would go to some of my distant family and I said, please, I'm here. They know why I'm there. If I was there, they know why I was there. Most of them will say, what did you need? You need some money? They give me money. They give me some, at that time they call it provision, which is gari. It's the popular provision for poor people at that time going to college. They give me gari and they give me a bar, which is like your peanut here. That is our popular provision when you go to college.
Okay. So I guess like gari is more like a wheat substance.
Gari is made from cassava.
Cassava,
yes,
okay.
It's made from cassava, yes. And of course you know what is a peanut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you finally, what college did you go to, and what college did you go to?
Let me tell you, remember I told you before I went to college, I started in a modern school, which is an equivalent of a transitional program getting into college. So I went to a modern school. So from the modern school is where you prepare yourself and you are able to take the common entrance to go to college, which is exactly what I did because I knew what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. I went to August school, which is at that time was popular among girls, especially for poor children growing up. Girls' school, when you go to girls' school, they know there will be no distractions. You can be able to learn, you'll be able to focus. So I went to August school, which is at Ikolekiti, very close to the community where I work.
Okay. And from there, how did you pursue your career? What was your next direction?
When I was at at St. Mary's College, which I called my secondary school, at that time, I was, again, I would not be very proud about that. I would say the truth. I was very brilliant. Actually, I was the social prefect of that school at that time. So I think when they see what kind of future that is ahead of you, people will help you to navigate yourself to the best college. At that time, when I finished secondary school, which is equivalent of your high school here, I did not have the opportunity to go to college. What I did was that I ended up going to what they call a teacher training college. Mind you, now you're talking to Dr. Monisola Adeyemo, who owns a practice in lab, with medical practice. In Nigeria, I was a teacher. I was a teacher back home. I changed the course of my career when I got here because I know the only way to help people in Nigeria was to be a medical practitioner.
Wow, so how did you start your life over pretty much when you got here? Something you said is that you started the course of your career over. How did you rebuild yourself from the ground up?
Okay. When I came here, I came to this country in 1981. Precisely, I came here October 25, I remember, 1981. That is when I landed here in GFK. I came with the purpose of meeting my husband, Dr. Adeyemo. He was already in a medical school at that time when I came here. I did not come here to go to school. I came here to meet a husband, to start a family. Going to school was something behind the picture. It was not my primary aim of coming here. I came here to meet a husband, like I said. But as my husband, sees the future that is ahead of us, and he knew my performance when I was in Africa, that this is a successful potential. She saw the potentials in me and actually offered, if you want to go to school. I said, of course, I wanted to go to school. At that time, nursing was never my idea. I wanted to pursue my teaching career. But I was thinking, as a teacher back home, so a black woman with accent, how much do I want to teach in America? And that is where the topic came to my mind that why don't you do something that will benefit where you came from, which is nursing. Nursing is always there. When you are in nurse, you don't have to be a doctor to be useful to your community. That is why I changed my course of education from being a teacher to be a nurse.
I actually want to talk a little bit more about that. You said, did something happen in Nigeria that made you want to say, okay, I need to do nursing in America instead of teaching? Like, what happened to I guess, create the new direction?
Thank you, Tommy. That is interesting. People ask me the same question over and over. What made you or change your mind from a teacher? Those are two extremes. You are a teacher, now you're a medical person. What happened? And I always tell my story. Actually, when I was in college here, I was always telling them the story of my life. Before I came here in 1981, I was very sick. I have to undergo an emergency surgery. What they call a volvulus. I had an obstruction in my stomach. I almost lost my life. I almost died. And one doctor in particular, I will not forget that doctor, is now in Canada. They call him Dr. Ogo, was the one that saved my life, that I did not die. So from that day on, something came to my mind. There was somebody that was able to help you to survive, that saved your life. Can you be of help to somebody else? So when I came here, I said, well, you know what? For me to be of help to other people, to be able to save life, I need to shape the course of my education. That is how I became a nurse.
Oh wow, it's so powerful. That's very emotional.
Thank you, Tony.
Even to listen to. So when you decided to change the course and you started from the ground up, how did you navigate through that? You said you came here to meet your husband. Was he your husband at the time, or did you get married here? How was that?
Well, actually, we formally got married before he came here. My husband came here in '78 to the United States of America. I was back home. We had our first child there back home, Monisola Adeyemo. So after we had the child, he was here. After his first degree, he decided I should come and join him here. And I left my child behind and came here to the United States.
How was that for you emotionally to leave like your first child, your only child at the time, behind?
Like any other woman told me, remember, this is a woman that was married, who was I just got married when my husband left. I have the child by myself back home, and the opportunity came for me to come to the United States, to come and meet him in the United States. Yeah, it was very painful to leave my child, but I know that it was something I had to do at that time because I've been separated from him for 4 years. When the opportunity came for me to come over to the United States, I never gave it a second thought. I know it was very painful.
That you were a nurse, but I want to know, what was the journey you took to then become a doctor? Like, how did you get there?
Thank you, Tony. It was an interesting journey. Like I said, when I came, I started my career at the University of the District of Columbia. That is where I started as an undergraduate. I started my undergraduate training to be a BSN, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing holder at UDC. I started the journey in 1983. And during the process, I was pregnant with my first daughter when I was in school. I did a 4-year training or course at UDC. The university is then the University of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. So after the 4 years, I worked at Howard University Hospital for a couple of years. And that was the time the opportunity came. There was a program they called the Family Nurse Practitioner Program. As a family nurse, let me let you understand, as a family nurse practitioner in the state of Maryland, you can own a practice, an independent practice, and become an owner. After I finished the program, I went to Howard. It's a post-certificate program, a 2-year program, a master's prepared program. I became a nurse practitioner. You have to take a board. I become a board certified as a family nurse practitioner. So as a family nurse practitioner, I started working with a group of doctors. They hired me based on my, not experience, because I have over 12 years as a registered nurse at Howard, where I started my first career as a registered nurse. And because they have known me, a lot of those doctors, they went through Howard, I knew them. So they knew me from Howard. They knew my expertise. They knew my dependency. They knew that I was very reliable. So when I finished as a family nurse practitioner, I was looking for a job. The thought I have is that I have a couple of my colleagues that went through Howard, and they have a practice in Lago. I actually took myself there to go and see the practice. When I saw them, they say, "Oh, what are you looking for?" And I told them, I just finished my nurse practitioner and I don't have an experience. Oh, they said they don't have a place for me. I said, how about being a volunteer? I volunteer my time. No payment, nothing. Remember, I have family. I did 2 years of volunteer job with this group of doctors. So during the process, they see what a dependable person. Well, I'm not going to give myself that credit, but at least they knew what I was able to offer. And I'm very proud that I know a lot of them will be looking at me. I started the practice from 50 patients. I grew the practice to more than 500 patients. So seeing my ability, what I could offer, when the practice was so big, and they asked me, we're ready to give you a job. Remember, now I was a volunteer. They said, well, we're ready to employ you. How much were you ready to take? Well, I told them, I don't have a choice. Whatever you want to offer me, I just want a place to work as what I was prepared for, a nurse practitioner. And they said, well, this is how much at that time they were paying me like $25 an hour, which was less what I was paid for. I was being paid at Howard. Because before I left Howard as a registered nurse, I was already being paid almost $40 an hour. So come down to get $25, but because I knew where I was going to, I needed to put myself into the practice and see what I can get from the practice. So I took the job, remember now, less than what I was being paid before. But the opportunity came because they see me and they see what I have grown the practice to be, how hardworking I was. And one day they just said, Monisola, we're ready to set this practice. How does it feel if you want to take the practice? I was like, oh, it's an opportunity. Wow. And I told them, well, I never had the money. I asked them how much the practice is going to be sold for. They said, well, we're willing to give the practice for $175,000. I was like, oh, that's a big money. But because my husband was the one that was behind me, a very successful man himself, wanted everything good for me. Remember, not every man will want that for a wife. He wanted me to succeed. He said, you know what, if you want to practice, I will buy the practice for you. Actually paid the practice, bought the practice, I said you can have the practice. That is how I got the practice in 2007. Oh
wow, so you just bought it in full and just paid for it?
That's right, I bought the practice and I paid for the practice.
Okay, wow. So something I wanted to talk about was that I know previously when we spoke, when we were talking earlier, you mentioned how you were working and you were pregnant. Your story, listening to it just sounds so peachy to an extent, right?
Okay.
So I want to know, what were the struggles you faced to go through this though?
See, when you're in school, it's one African women by nature, we are very determined. We are very hardworking. We African women, I say, in this country, we come to this country as strugglers. We struggle and we know what we wanted. We don't want anything to disturb, not even children or family. Because you have a goal, to set a goal for yourself. And that's exactly what I did. I set a goal. I have kids. And they told me, every time I go to school, I always come out of the school pregnant and still maintain my 4.0 in the school. That is how very determined I was. A question you asked me, how did I become a doctor? After I don't want you to forget that particular aspect. After I bought the practice and I've been on the practice 2007, 3 years ago, I said, well, what else can I do for myself? Because people call me Dr. Monisola, even as a nurse practitioner, because they see what I do. Dr. Monisola. I was a nurse practitioner. A lot of my patients would say, Dr. Monisola, doctor. I said, wow, if this particular degree, they already gave it to me, why don't you work for that degree? And I decided, I said, you know what, I'm going to earn that doctorate degree. That is how I started my program. And I went to school at Walden University, and I did my doctorate degree in nursing.
Oh, so
when I just finished, I just graduated August 7, 2017. Actually, officially got my diploma January 20 of this year as a Dr. Monisola Adeyemo.
Mama was the president of her own medical practice. Did this just happen overnight? People can look at your life and say, okay, well, she came from a wealthy background. This is just for her. Like, what was the process like for you?
Thank you, Tommy. Like I told you, I came to this country to meet my husband. And when I came to this country, he was in school himself as a student. It was not that easy. Actually, when I came, he was driving the cab. He was a cab driver, going to school at the same time. So when I came, I know I have to support him. He could not. I left my son at home. Remember, I have a child that I left at home. I just came to this country, so we were both struggling together. I took my first job as a nursing assistant in a nursing home. You know what it is? Getting paid $3.95 an hour. How much is that a week? That is how much. And he has to pay for the house. He has to pay for the school. So I took the job. I would work night shift, just 7 days a week, working just to assist him, to take care of the house. When I finally got an admission to the University of the District of Columbia, UDC as they call it at that time, it became an issue. At that time, remember, immigrants don't get scholarship. How to pay for school fees was a dilemma. And at that time, like a semester, we were paying about $900. We couldn't afford it. So I was compelled to work more hours. I would go to work at night. I will go to school. I'll come back, go back to work. That is my lifestyle. Work, school, home, work. That is how I work. You will go to school. From school, you go and drive the car. That is how we started managing ourselves. At that time, we were living in what you call an efficiency. You know what you call an efficiency here? A big space where you have your bed, you have the toilet, you have the bedroom in one space. That is where we live when we first come to this, an efficiency.
So when you were speaking, about your life, I realized you talked about how you went from working and times were hard and you just went to school. And at this time your husband was still in school. So how did you make that decision? How did it affect your family financially as a mother, as a wife? How did that impact you?
Thank you, Tommy. One thing I really know is that there is what they call check and balances. If you are looking for something, you should be ready to suffer. Because if you are looking for pleasure all the time and you forget that there's something you're looking for, you can't have both. That is what I feel. When I was in school, pleasure was never my goal. My idea is just to make sure my kids are comfortable, support my husband, and find something to do for myself so I can be somebody. It's good to rely on your husband, but at the same time, you need to see your self-worth. Know what you want for yourself as a woman. You don't want to be that, what we Nigerians call a liability. You know what they call it, Tommy? When they say a woman is a liability, which means a woman allows herself to be, not a caretaker. I would just say you allow yourself to be not a slave. I won't say a slave. You want to allow yourself to be manipulated all the time. If you can't do anything for yourself, like asking your husband all the time. Yes, it's good for a husband to take care of you. At the same time, you want to apply, let me put that way, apply yourself. Apply yourself, make yourself at least a responsible woman, a woman that can do something for herself. You don't want to be, again, I will use that word, a liability to your husband or to the community. Use yourself the way, people will know that you are a woman of dignity. And that's exactly what I did. I know what I wanted for myself. I know my husband now, at that time, we were very poor, but I knew that I don't want to stay in that poverty forever. That is why I said, I need to apply myself.
Okay. So when you look at young girls my age, or just young women in general, what do you tell them? What type of advice can you give them about how to navigate and just make it against all odds?
Thank you, Tommy. I want to tell you, my young viewers, that you need to know who you are. Know your self-worth. Know that you carry something, that you can do much for yourself. As much as you have a goal, a set goal, there's nothing that is impossible. If I can start my life from a very poor beginning, a 2-year-old without a mother, grew up in a very poor village, got married very early age because I had no choice, come to America and started from being a teacher to be a nurse, from a nurse to a nurse practitioner to a doctor. I think that's not impossible to what you cannot do for yourself. You just have to apply yourself. Application is the key. You need to know what you want and never be discouraged. Never tell yourself, I can't do it. I knew from the beginning when I was growing up, when I was very young, no is never in my dictionary. I never knew, I never tell myself you're going to fail. I always look forward that you can be successful. And that is what I portray. And I want people to see that if you know what you are, that there is a purpose in your life, you know you can do so much. You are never a failure. Nobody can tell you are a failure. You can't do anything. If you fall down, I always tell people, if you fall, stand up and get up and just keep moving until you achieve what you think is not possible. To me, I think not is impossible. It's just a matter of application.
You know, as a mother of 4, as a wife, and navigating through you're navigating against your culture to an extent, what has the mentality of, wife should be at home, but you and your husband were able to break through that together, and create such a great career for you. How did you do that to some extent? I know you said determination, but what else did it take from you?
Humility. I know it's in this society where women, think they can do so much without the support of the other person. In African community, culture is very important. So, humility, you cannot fail with humility. Many a times, there are so many things you need from a man. You might not be able to get it if you are very proud. But if, I'm just saying it to my African people to know, but if you are very humble, dealing with your significant other, which is your husband, at times, there are things they don't want to do for you because you are very humble. I will take myself as an example. If you ask my husband, currently is in Nigeria, I know how I talk to him. I know how very important he holds me. It's just because I respect him, respect his family, and respect his choices of his career. And especially, I respect his children. Because children are part of our family, career, family background in Africa. So, in a nutshell, if you are very humble to your husband, especially African husband, there's nothing. They can go out of their way to do so much for you. That is the African community.
One thing that I do know is that you do a lot of initiatives where you do outreach programs here in America and in Nigeria just to, provide people with basic health care. Why did you start that program?
Thank you, Tommy, again. Like I said, I need to appreciate the people around me, not myself. I need to appreciate people that, I need. I started doing this program in 2000. I believe 2000 and, if I will be precise, 14, I started from CAC House of Praise, the church where I go to, where we have a lot of these, our old mothers that are there, taking care of their grandchildren, they have no insurance. And part of my passion is to make sure I take good care of these old people, old grandmas. So I was at CAC, I was made the chairman of a medical department. Actually, I built the medical department and I built a medical room for that church where we see emergencies, we take care of people without insurances. Actually, equip the medical office with my funding, medications, all this. We take care of minor emergencies out of my finances.
So what made you want to do that though? Was there a story? Did something take place where he's like, this is necessary? Why?
Actually, like I said, out of my passion, that is the passion I have, to make sure that old people in need do not suffer. Most of these women, when they come to this country, they have no insurance. They are old people, they have no insurance, they cannot take their copy. Remember now, old people have a bundle of medical illnesses like hypertension, diabetes, arthritis, so much. So when they come, they have no insurance, they are suffering. And what's my passion to take care of these people free of charge.
So something I heard is that you do different initiatives in Nigeria where you pretty much screen people for illnesses. You provide them with medicine as they need it. You're pretty much a major primary caregiver for those for free. Why do you do that? Like, what motivates you to do something like that?
Thank you again, Tommy. Remember my beginning, my beginning as a child from a very poor family. I went through the same thing, through poverty, through illnesses. And when I came here, the opportunity came. I think it's very important to give back to anybody that is in need. I know what it means to be very poor, not to afford anything. Especially the poor people, the needies in my community. In the church where I go to, I see old people, no insurance. And I think the best way to make an impact in the life of these people, and especially for health promotion, to make sure diseases are limited, are controlled within this population, old people population, is to assist them to make early diagnosis and early treatments. I give them free medication out of free provision I have. I don't charge them, they cannot afford it. I give them the same thing I take to Africa where I came from. I've seen children, very poor children. I give them medication, I screen them. If I have to give them financial support if necessary. There's a program that I'll be running very soon, which is scholarship for the needy, especially motherless babies. That is part of my mission for Nigeria in the next couple of years, to give scholarship. People give me to be where I am, I need to go back.
So, how many people have you impacted with these initiatives? How many lives have you changed?
Considerable amount of people have benefited from my program, outreach program. Recently, I just came back from Nigeria. I went to Udogoli in Ogun State. I'm in the villages in Ekiti State where I go and see children. I have the passion for children because they are incapable. You see children with all kind of ailments that they could not, be cared for. The last time I went, I was so, emotional about children with, ringworm, lice. Those are my passion, to make sure these children do not suffer. So, overall, anybody that comes my way, I have no favorite. Everybody's within my power to benefit from me, from my program.
Okay. So, a trend you see to an extent is that when people leave countries like Nigeria and come to America, it's like they've forgotten about their past. They don't go back like you. They don't have these new initiatives. So if you could say one thing to them to empower them, to encourage them. Because it's understandable being that, when you have poverty, corruption, it's difficult. What can you say to try to impact them and encourage them to make a difference as well? Not to forget where they've started. Because that's something you have not forgotten.
Thank you, Tommy. There's a popular word that says, do not expect to get from the country. Worry what the country will do for you, but worry about what you can do for your country. It is my sincere wish that most of my Nigerians that are looking at and listening to this program will just think about how to help people in need. We don't have to be selfish. We need to think about giving back to that country. Again, I said, do not worry or think about what the country will do for you. Think about what you can do to that country to benefit that country. The country, yes, we know there's a lot of corruption in the country, but try as an individual to see what you as an individual can do to help people. Make yourself known, impact on the people, especially the poor people, the children. I think that is very important. We should try to make ourselves available to serve humanity. The word is humanity.
Well, thank you so much for just taking the time to speak with me and just teaching people, even like me, about the importance of giving back to your community, making a difference, and letting people, young women like me, know that if you work hard, if you're determined, you can have a better tomorrow. You know, you can establish a better life for yourself.
Yes, and think about how you can put smiles
Yeah.
on people's faces, and that is very important. And it's not about you, but about others.
So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak with you about your story.
Thank you, Tommy. It's nice having you in my house.
My name is Monisola Adeyemo, reporting to you from the Truth Media.